To help pull apart this Rangeman GPR H1000 by G-Shock, I am once again enlisting the help of this Klein Tools. All right, this is a really cool set, part of their Mod Box series, and they have a bunch of, tiny little bits here, perfect for taking apart your G-Shock, and there's a number of different ones which will help you, if you have mods. You may not have this problem that I did, where the screws keep coming loose on the Rangeman, the G-Shock Rangeman GPR H1000, but maybe you'd want to spruce it up, maybe change a little bit of the colors here and there on various parts of your watch. Definitely doable, and what helps a lot is this Klein tool set. Again, part of the Mod Box series. Link below if you are interested. All right, let me just demo this a little bit. I'm going to take this big honking bit driver out and put in this tiny bit driver. So this set has the big bits, like the regular ones. You'd have an 11-1 screwdriver, and then these tiny ones. So that's the one we're going to use, because this is like a hex head, all right? So what size is it? What size hex? Probably should have looked before I started recording, but I'm going to try the 2.5. Is it the 2.5? No, it is the 2, all right? So they're all labeled here. There's no way I'd be able to tell the metric system just by looking at it. Yep, it's the 2. Okay. So in this little screwdriver, bang, bang, boom, put it in there, and we're going to remove these screws. We're going to see exactly what the warranty repair shop did, if anything. They had it from January all the way till just a couple weeks ago. All right, and this is actually an instruction manual from my Milwaukee tools. I know it's kind of crazy to own Klein Tools in Milwaukee because they're at war with each other. But, oops, and now I spilled my drink. Don't worry, I got a blue rag. All right, total chaos here. Good thing that all of this is waterproof. You can kind of see that there's like, in the threads, there's still the plastic, all right? There's no adhesive, like Loctite, like a lot of you guys recommended putting Loctite in there. I don't see any Loctite. All right, I'm going to put these in this U.S. General magnetic tool tray. All right. It's magnetic. You get that at Harbor Freight. Some of you guys call it Hobo Freight, but I want to tell you something. It's like the tools at Harbor Freight are getting better and better, right? U.S. General. You got to love the color gamut on U.S. General. Like they got the green. Well, you know what else they have? They got the orange. They got the blue, right? So, I mean, like, and they have the black. I think they have purple. So we're going to take off this next screw. Take a look at this son of a gun. All right. Very similar thing here, too. All right. I see like a little white speck in the threads. It looks like it's just tearing out the plastic, right? And now I'm going to remove this band. Oh! All right. Okay, I done goofed. I took off 2 from the same side. By the way, when you're using a tool like this, a screwdriver like this back spins, so you can like put it against your hand while you use your fingers to twirl, right? They should make spaghetti eating forks that use the same technology. I mean, possibly the Italians already invented that. All right, so this screw, too, is from the bottom. I don't see anything in these threads, but the actual threads are kind of shiny. And then, yeah, the band just fell right off. All right, so that's the band. And the wing is the same soft plastic integrated into the band. All right, and what do we have in there? It looks like it's just dirt. Yeah, it's dirty. I mean, to me, it doesn't even look like this has been touched. But looking inside, you can see that the threads look really ugly. All right. So this was at warranty repair twice, at one point for a few months, all the way from the end of January till May, right? So we'll just say February, March, April, May. And does not look to me like any repair had actually been done. So It's a good thing G-Shock watches are tough, that you don't have to send them to warranty repair often. All right, yeah, you see a little bit of plastic in those threads. All right, so my hypothesis is, and a lot of you guys also share this hypothesis, that this plastic is too soft, in that the metal threads that are threaded directly into that plastic just pulled out the reciprocating threads inside of this center lug. All right, and that seems to be the case. Looking inside, you know, that it's like, let me get a blue rag so we can kind of, I got a blue rag, don't worry. We'll kind of clean off this area right here. This blue rag is moist from having cleaned the water I just spilled. So the plan of attack, what's the plan? How would I mod this watch to improve its design? Well, one of the things I noted is that this kneecap here, like, prevents the full articulation of the band. And I think that what happens is when it splays out, it hits the band, and both of them kind of flex, and it impinges. It impinges where these screws go in, right? And I already lost a screw. Guys, I already lost a screw. Oh no, they're right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Never mind. And so, and is this plastic soft? I've been looking at it now. It doesn't seem as soft as it did before. Let me see if I can scratch it with this. See if there's a knife. Got a razor blade in here. Hold on. Good old Stanley. See how like hard this plastic is. Oh, of course, this is chipped. Of course. Don't worry, I got another one. I got the Lufkin. And this Lufkin, not Lufkin, what am I saying? Lutz, the Lutz 82, right? This is a Irwin blade in there. Maybe this blade's a little better. You can see how soft, whether it's soft. Scratching it a little bit. I don't know if this is like hard enough for the threads, right? We need a materials scientist to chime in, okay? Now, another question that's often asked is, does anybody else ever experience this problem like I have with the screws getting loose? And in the comments of my videos, one gentleman did have a problem with his GBD H2000. You know, it was just a comment, didn't get a whole lot of information, but he claimed that his screws started spinning. Now, I do have a GBD H2000. I'm trying to fetch it here from my G-Shock toolbox, and maybe you guys can help me find it. And so, now that's a DWH 5600. Where is the GBD H2000? I don't know where it is, guys. If it's not in here. All the watches are beeping. It's the top of the hour. But anyways, someone had a GBD H2000, and he said that his screws are spinning. I never really used the GBD H2000 as hard as I did the Rangeman, because it's a fitness watch. GBD H2000 is a fitness watch. So it was more of my casual wear watch and gym watch, of course. I did not wear it at work. Once the Mudman came out, the GW9500, this is the watch I wore to work, and this one's super tough. And you can see that the screws are the same size, but like these hard plastic wings, I think, push the point of articulation on the band actually onto the band down here. And so I suppose it's possible they could come loose, but not being allowed to move at all, I think, prevents them from coming loose. Like the wings really take a lot of the force, whether it be an inward or outward force, right? And so on the Rangeman, you know, these are just left to take all of the torsion, all of the twisting, all of the pulling, all of the pushing, and then of course is the impingement problem. So that's like this isn't like an epidemic. There's not all these people chiming in saying they have the same problem that I am aware of, right? Maybe someone at Casio G-Shock would have the inside information whether people are contacting them about this problem. This might be a Jim Kincaid only problem, right? I could be the only one who buys a $500 watch and then pushes it to the limit and then it breaks. Like, a lot of guys, unfortunately, buy G-Shocks and then baby them. And then they start whining and crying in the comments of my video that I would take a watch that's advertised as absolute tough. You know, they say absolute toughness, and then, you know, test that, right? Like, this is the GW 9500, the Rescue Yellow Mudman with a metal bezel. Look at the scratches, right? Look at the concrete, and all the concrete washed off, and now it's like cured into these nooks and crannies because I gave it the concrete test. All right. How much consternation did that test cause in the watch community? Right? All these, you know, guys crying, weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth that I would use a G-Shock as advertised, right? A lot of crybabies. They're crying tears of soy. And so I found the limit on this one, right? And so how like am I going to say that this is going to happen to you? I mean, I don't know, probably not. I'm not going around discouraging you from buying the Rangeman GPR H1000, but I really can't give it my seal of approval, okay? But I do there's a lot of things I do like about the watch. Okay, a lot of old G-Shock OGs, you know, the old heads, they just rejected it right out of hand on the day it was advertised. And it is really interesting that the other Rangeman, the so-called Gen 2 Rangeman, was like so much better than any of these watches that they're making nowadays, and so far ahead of its time when it was released, I believe in 2018. And so I'm thinking of doing like kind of a documentary investigative report on how that watch was so much more amazing than watches being produced now. Like at the time that the Gen 2 Rangeman came out, that it exceeded Garmin in some features, right? But then now I think it's like pretty. It's a conclusion. There's like a consensus that the Garmins are better than this like generation of G-Shocks, right? Now, previously I'd be like, oh well, you know, you can have a Garmin with all the features, but you know, here's a G-Shock that it's going to run on the sun completely and is really tough, right? But then, like, you can't really say that, or I can't say that about this one, the GPR H1000, right? I can't say, oh, it's going to run completely off the sun, because it doesn't. I mean, there's a hack where you can put it in power saving mode. Let me just show you. If you go into power saving mode, then like you can really extend the life of the battery. The only thing it's going to do is tell you the time, but then it has that press and hold this button to get it out of power saving mode, right? So just telling the time, you know, this might be completely powered by sunlight, from what I can tell, what I can extrapolate based on wearing it like that. But I don't think it can charge it all the way up. So like if you plugged it in and then charged it all the way up to high and then put it in power saving mode, it'll probably drop down to 5 bars and then stay that way for a really, really long time, right? But then like you're not using any of the functions of the watch at all. You just have a giant watch with an MIP screen, which is pretty ridiculous. Everybody wants a solar powered watch from G-Shock that has an MIP screen, meaning tough solar watch with an MIP screen. Exactly like, you know, that this Mudman is completely powered by the sun. These watches are solar assist. The solar charging helps out, but eventually you have to plug it in. Everybody wants the MIP screen completely powered by the sun. MIP and tough solar. That's what we want from G-Shock. Will we get it? Stay tuned. I've heard rumors. Some people have said in the comments it's coming. I'll believe it when I see it, but stay tuned. Anyways, going forward, what can we do with this Rangeman? Well, I'm still up in the air about whether to trim back these kneecaps. I mean, I want to, but I don't know if I could pull it off without this white part being exposed. And it would look kind of weird, you know, that you could see this white hard plastic case, inner case. But I want to kind of trim the kneecap, as I call it, in order to allow, you know, the full articulation of the band, all right? Now, what am I going to do as far as the screws go? Well, I gotta measure these, right? And I think that they're like M2, based on the fact that I use a 2 millimeter, I used a 2 millimeter bit from this Klein Tools bit set, right? So I think that these are M2. Now, these bolts, I would call them shoulder bolts, right? This is in oil field, we have some shoulder bolts that we use actually for pull down ladders on the pumps. But the shoulder bolts have, you know, the threads only go out so far, as you can see. And then this part of the bolt is not threaded, but that unthreaded part is actually wider than the threaded part, okay? Because a lot of long bolts, the threads only go so far, you know, but on a shoulder bolt, the unthreaded part is wider because usually it's you know, it's kind of like a bushing. It's going to be taking something that's rotating usually, or that's allowed to articulate. That's why you don't want threads on the shoulder bolt part. And this is like a double step, because, you know, towards the head there's another shoulder part. Now, thanks to the internet, we have like a giant book of parts that, you know, we can scour the internet, and there's this one website that's kind of like the chemical rubber company of our day, that they have, like, you know, parts and information on everything, right? And so I forget the name of it. It's like McCall dash something, but we're going to find something that this will thread into, a threaded sleeve, right? An insert, okay? And so my plan right now, and I'm going to source the parts, would be to drill out this hole a little bit more, because I'm assuming that threads are all messed up, and like refill it with some epoxy so it's like totally full again, right? And then to drill it out, you know, get a tiny little drill and drill it out in such a way that the sleeve that will reciprocate this bolt will be inserted into this center lug. Okay, so how will it be inserted? Will it be rethreaded? We'll have to like thread it with like larger threads for that insert. I don't know. I mean, if these threads pulled out, what would say that the threads to the sleeve would pull out or wouldn't pull out? You know, it could be the same problem. Well, a sleeve would have more coarse threads than this. These are pretty fine threads. I don't think they have a really good grip on the plastic. That's just my opinion. So an insert, you know, they have knurled inserts, and then they have inserts that, you know, these sleeves that, you know, you heat them up and you jab them in, so they'll actually melt the plastic around the knurling, right? There's a whole number of inserts. So my plan is to find some type of threaded sleeve to insert it into this plastic. And I talked about mixing up epoxy and filling up the hole. I might not need to, now that I think about it, because the hole already being there may just need to be reamed out, you know, to get a tiny little drill bit in there to ream it out, because it's already pretty straight. because it's, it's factory hull. I guess it's been bagged out a little bit by the bolts wobbling around, so maybe it's not that straight, but if I can ream it out, get rid of the old threads, and then insert a sleeve, then these screws will just screw into the new metal sleeve. And so the sleeves, or the threads from the sleeve and the threads from the screw, they aren't going to tear each other up, right? Metal on metal, it won't happen. Now, will I put Loctite in there? I don't think I would. I mean, I know that some of you guys are avid Loctite users. Loctite, from my understanding, is meant for metal on metal, like a bolt in a nut, right? And so, like, it's a powerful adhesive, but it's like the duct tape of our age. People think they can just slap it on anything, like it's some type of like feat of redneck engineering. And yeah, to a certain extent, I mean, I guess you can, but like my buddy Paul Whaley had a firearm whose sights were not machined perfectly, and so they did not fit in the sight insert perfectly. And when he contacted the manufacturer, they're like, "Oh yeah, just load it up with Loctite." And he like squirted so much Loctite in there that it was like dripping, and it hardened up. And he tested it out, and it just doesn't seem like that's like feasible, because like I think Loctite's kind of brittle. It's meant to be like jammed into threads where there's minimal amounts of space in between each side of the thread. And so I don't think that Loctite is really our solution. Like not in the plastic and not in the sleeve if I am able to insert a sleeve. Okay? I personally don't think it will work. I don't think it's what it's engineered for. And if I put Loctite in the sleeve and then in the bolt, it's like, well, how am I ever going to get it out if I need to? Like if I need to, maybe mod or replace the band, like how am I going to get a Loctite nut out of the sleeve? I'll have to put so much torque on it. I'll have to get out the big Milwaukee M18, put it on setting 3 and just let it chugga till it breaks apart. Well, it'll probably break out of the plastic before the screw breaks out of the sleeve. And I don't know, maybe blue Loctite would work better. I don't know. But the point is that I don't. This is why I've not used Loctite to this point, in because of, like I said, that if I do use a sleeve, like the advantage of the sleeve is that you could use a screw as intended. You can screw it in and screw it out. If you need to replace or repair the band, right? And so just jamming Loctite into the plastic and then putting the screw back in, that might work. It would be redneck engineering. But then, if you use red Loctite, it's like, I don't think you'll ever get the screw out. And then I don't know if it would work. Like the red Loctite would stick to the screw, but would the red Loctite stick to the plastic too? That's the key, is that it has to stick to both materials and be useful. But anyways, the kneecaps, I think that I'm going to have to get a little bit creative on how to trim back this kneecap, because my mod would allow, at the end, this Rangeman to fully articulate. And because I think that would be a design improvement, all right? And it's really weird to me that they have these channels for a kneecap, but then the actual kneecap is much wider than this channel. It's like, why do they have this scooped out area, this track, that it looks like that a band could slide on, but then the corners just bash into the wide part of the band? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what happened there. It just, it causes what I call the impingement problem. And then as far as the whole experience went with the warranty repair, I'm not happy with it. It took a long time. Like both times that I got the watch back, it's because Philip Lahell asked. He's like, "Hey, did you get your watch back?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I gotta follow up." And after I followed up, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just about done. Well, then we'll send it to you." And I was kind of suspicious about all that, so I don't know. Not real happy with that whole process, you know, it would have been cool if, like, if I just sent it back in and they were like, oh, you know what, Mr. Kincaid, we'll get you a whole new watch. Don't even worry about repair. But I think that the whole warranty repair process, maybe they just drag their feet so that you just give up. You're like, you know what, it's not even worth it. And the thing is, because this isn't my only watch, you know, that I was able to forget about it, you know, because like for toughness, the Mudman is so much better. And I have two different Mudmen. This is my first Mudman, the GW 9500. It has a plastic bezel, as you can see, kind of warped, kind of pulled away like gums do to your teeth, right? So then they came out with these metal bezel Mudman, and I like that a lot better. And I got this Rescue Yellow metal bezel Mudman. This is a really good watch if you're buying a G-Shock because you want absolute toughness. This is absolute toughness in my opinion. And a lot of guys are asking about the Mudmaster. The Mudmaster, similar to the Mudman, but analog and sapphire glass. See how I scratched the Mudman? Well, that wouldn't happen with sapphire. Sapphire is a lot harder than this mineral glass. Well, the Mudmaster cost $800, all right? And I've not been able to get $800 together to buy the Mudmaster. Part of the reason is that I keep on buying all these other ones. You know, I've gone quantity over quality. Like this one is about $100. I can't remember exactly how much it is. It's the GD010. You know, it's a new watch, but it has like an old-fashioned style and very basic functions, but they do the basic functions very well. Like this one, the GD010. It has multiple time zones. That's my brother's time zone. That's London. So a lot of you gentlemen watching from the UK, this is your time zone. In Paris, right? So some of you guys are checking in from France. We had someone check in from Alsace, which I think is really interesting because I purchased some Opinel knives. Let me just open this tool chest here. I got an Opinel knife, right? It's made of wood. David, who, you know, is a watch YouTuber, he tested out his Opinel, but this is like a grandpa knife. It's just like so basic, you know? Like I have relatives who are Finnish, so it kind of reminds me of a puka knife, like a Finnish hunting knife, but it's French, right? It's from France. It has like 5 parts. It has wood and then like 4 metal parts up here to make the whole knife. And it was really sharp, carbon steel, and really inexpensive. You know, we'll do more tests of this knife, but I also got a bread cutting knife from Opinel, which my wife really likes. It's like a fantastically designed bread knife, and she's a sourdough baking American. Lots of American women now are factories of sourdough bread, and it's like, it's the food of a whole demographic of modern Americans, sourdough bread. And so we are those who have sourdough souring in the pantry in a jar because of my wife. So with all of that sourdough bread being baked, we got a bread knife from Opinel for that purpose. So stay tuned for that video. But anyways, yeah, so I got time zone for the Opinel factory right here. Paris. Actually, I'm assuming it's the same time zone. I actually don't know for sure. And then Chicago, that's my time zone. So anyways, GD010. Like, I bought a bunch of cheaper watches rather than getting that one big high dollar Mudmaster. And because it's going to take me several months to get to that point, and like I end up buying watches that you know, kind of sidetrack my overall goal of owning a Mudmaster. And this Rangeman was $500, so it took a lot out of my account, and I was not able to make as much content about it as I would like because of the band failure. Some people say that, you know, I caused this, I did this on purpose. I mean, a lot of those people who leveled that accusation rescinded that accusation or just left. So I've not heard it in a while, but it would be advantageous to my channel for this Rangeman to not break so that I can make tutorial videos and rundown videos And when I'm hiking, show it in action. The last time I went hiking at Lincoln National Forest, I was wearing the GBD-H 2000 and I encountered a problem, a bug, if you will. You have to watch that video to see what the problem is. Actually, I haven't even edited it yet. That reminds me, I have to edit that video. That was on spring break and we're already on summer break. But that's just the way it goes. You know, editing can delay a project greatly. Anyways, stay tuned for that video. The problem with hiking with the GBD-H 2000 that I encountered. And so, you know, I would like this Rangeman to work. I would like it to be functional because it's a pretty popular watch. And so, you know, I like making videos. I like making videos about these G-Shocks in action. You know, the tabletop reviews are not what I do. Real life reviews, vocationally and recreationally, is what the channel's all about. And I'm not out here telling you what to buy or what not to buy. I think that's an insult to your intelligence. I'm just giving you information. You make the decision. Like, if people ask me point blank, what should I get? Well, the watch that I, you know, advocate for more than any other is the Mudman GW9500. But I know that might not be everybody's cup of tea because it's not pretty and it's not comfortable. It's not that comfortable, but it's an extremely rugged watch and it's not comfortable. But like, one thing I noticed is that, like, if you're covered in oil, like say you get hydraulic oil all on your watch and your wrist, it barely slides around. It's like locked into your wrist, right? So I was wearing the GD010. Where'd it go? I already lost it. The GD010, and I got hydraulic oil all over me, and that watch slid around my wrist a lot, okay? As I explained before in a video, how does it fit the GD010? The band, you know, is a very wide watch crotch, which is a technical term. The area between the bands is pretty wide. The band isn't that long, and it kind of plumes out a lot, right? So when I got oil all over my wrist, this watch slid around like crazy. Like, it was sliding all the way around my wrist. It was like, whoop! It was doing carnival tricks. It was ridiculous. It would be everywhere except where it needed to be. But anytime that a similar situation has happened where I've gotten oil all over my Mudman, the Mudman stays in place pretty much, maybe slides a little bit here or there, but never all the way around, okay? Because of these wings lock it in. So it's not that comfortable, but it's where it needs to be as a watch, okay? And so, like, just for an example, that's like the kind of information I want to provide to the viewers, right? I'm not out here saying, giving you an opinion, you know? You make your own. I'm giving you information, all right? And, you know, there's pros and cons. Even after this broke on me, I still want to fix it. I still want to wear it, right? There's a lot of good things to say about the GPR H1000. I don't want you guys thinking that I'm telling you or anybody it's a terrible watch. Don't buy it. But before you buy it, you ought to know what happened to me. Will it happen to you? Probably not. Probably not. Probably won't happen to you. I'm not saying it will happen to anybody else, but this is what happened. This is my experience. Okay, now that we're well into this video, we're at least 20 minutes into this video, I'm offering a course on how to talk for 20 minutes without getting to the point, okay? This course will be available online. It will only be, well, you might think it will cost $20. It will only cost $19.99. All right, for you to buy this course. Some people get to the point really quickly. Well, after taking my course on how to not get to the point for 20 minutes, you'll be able to ramble on effortlessly, all right? So that's really valuable information. Some of you guys make your own YouTube videos. They're way too short, all right? I can change that. Just buy my course, all right? And so another subject in upcoming videos will be the DWH 5600. I happen to notice it's not as available as it used to be on various retailers and websites, let's just say. So will scarcity make the DWH 5600 more likable? Because I want to tell you something, I like this a lot more when I first bought it. It kind of broke in and is more comfortable than first wearing it, all right? And so, stay tuned for when I source the parts to repair the GPR H1000 Rangeman by G-Shock. Gentlemen, remember, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kincaid. Thanks for watching.